Welcome everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Grace Strega and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, November 1st, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread for today. First two cards we are starting our day off with today are our 8 of Swords in its reversal in combination with our 7 of Cups in its upright. I am not surprised to see these cards at all today. Remember what we were speaking about in our last reading. Transformation sometimes does not come out of spaces of comfort. Why would you transform in a place of comfortability? You typically don't transform in spaces and places of comfortability. Transformation is a sticky process. Scorpio journeys here, my friends. Scorpio journeys. They come through a little bit of that energetic frustration, a lot of that little bit of that energetic provocation. But when you're able to take that energy and move it into spaces and places of productivity, these can be like, those are those pricks that become kickstarts, right? Those are those little snaps that become inspiration. So we see even now that navigating through that, or the observation and how much you have changed in how you navigate those smaller frustrations, almost perhaps coming into a space of gratitude upon them. Coming into a space, imagine that. Imagine coming into a space when you feel energetically frustrated. You say, I'm grateful for an opportunity to be able to take a different approach to something. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to find something in a different way. So that ability of feeling what may have felt like an energetic blockage, but instead allowing it to become something that becomes expansive, that is the heart of transformational energy. That's massively important when we look at the scorpionic journey. So we see even now frustration points that may be leading to profound breakthroughs. Now this is having and different approaches. This is having a different impact depending on where you find yourselves on the frequency cycles. Now, for masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, deep within divine union, This is what I said, that is more, this feels more frustrating than anything else right now because it is requiring a lot of that energy of prioritization, not allowing oneself to be frustrated. It's like if you're trying to carry everything and everything's like stumbling out of your arms as you do so, the gift of the energetic counterpart is potentially having someone there to basically say like, hey, you dropped this. Hey, is this yours? So a lot of that work that we're seeing right now, it has to do with navigating overabundance. And when we navigate through overabundance, there's that moment that we learn how to energetically let go, because it's that sense or that space of allowing for that point of recognizing what feels like it's energetically necessary versus what feels like it's preferential. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, that work deep into integration, it's allowing new approaches, but navigating through overabundance. This is why we also spoke about the fact that for a lot of the counterparts right now, that ability of not having time to feel energetically disappointed, not having time to feel energetically frustrated, maybe even potentially looking at situations and circumstances and saying it feels indulgent to take time to feel the emotions of the self because of everything you're doing. What do we see the counterparts are doing in that space? They're holding emotional space for one another. They're filling in the blanks. Now, speaking towards that for the energy coming into divine union right now, this is massive. I just see even now a lot of energy coming into divine union, having like massive downloads. They might be internal downloads. Remember, keep in mind, when we say the word download, it doesn't have to mean like some like, coming down from the heavens kind of thing. It could be a download in recognition or understanding of seeing one's own self. That can be an articulation of a download. You know, like having that moment of being like, oh, and seeing parts of the self that you haven't seen before. Recognizing patterns of the self that you may have not understood. What happens when we get frustrated with our own patterns? It allows the opportunity to break through them. And so we see even now that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, doing that work, what did we recognize that a lot of that energy coming into divine union was doing over the last few weeks? Prioritizing the energetic connection above all. And when you prioritize something above all, it changes the way you navigate circumstances. It changes the way you address things. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, taking different approaches and not liking it. I got to tell you, we saw the fact that a lot of the energy coming into divine union, if you had to ask them and say, how are things going? It would be one of those moments where we see a lot of that energy having a smile on their face going, awful. But having that smile on their face, why is that smile on their face when they say awful? Because it's a feeling of saying, I'm doing something that is very difficult. But I'm also seeing the fact that it's paying off. So even here, a lot of that breakthrough and a lot of overwhelm I see. Potentially a lot of, I want to say throat chakra that is opening up right now. But a lot of that I see even now, it feels supportive. It feels positive. Now, speaking of floodgates, for a lot of the energy in separation right now, I want to say this new moon energy, this is like cleaning house. This is complete swabbing the deck kind of energy here. This is just getting everything away. Like this is being very open and honest. Why are we seeing this for a lot of the energy in separation? You will recall that we spoke about the frustration that a lot of the energy in separation is having within their own healing journey is the desire to move faster. We were speaking about this prior to, in our last reading. But that observation, being conscientious of the past, this isn't energy that is assuming that the past is repeating themselves, but they're allowing the past to inform and to guide them, and they're building trust. So we see even now a lot of that energy being conscientious, potentially even articulating the difference between what they would desire to do, but also being conscientious. What do we see is happening? Are these energies in separation right now that someone's like trying to force trust? Absolutely not. We see a lot of that energy being very, I want to say, conscientious. And it's that sense of being conscientious, prioritizing the energetic connection. This is a lot of the energy that is feeling the robustness of recognizing the difference, moving towards an energetic connection now that is articulating and framing the clarity of it not being similar to something from the past. Center card for our 5-card spread for today is, I like it. I like this right now. We got 8, 7, and 9 right now. So these are some but the 8's in its reversal. So we've got some really beautiful energy right now, specifically and particularly. It's feeling like an easement. And I know that a lot of that energy between our last reading and this one may have felt really intense. But we see even now, there's a lot of this energy here that's building into that space of feeling balanced or feeling that sense of stability. Now, for masculine and feminine energy and separation, this is very beautiful because I got to say, one of the things I keep seeing here for a lot of the energy in separation right now, this is an energy that's rushing into something with that feeling or that need to have to be in an energetic connection. This is a lot of the energy that's moving in separation right now and feeling the amplification of comfortability. Feeling the amplification of comfortability. Feeling the security of being within one's own energetic field and feeling from that point of stabilization, what happens? It doesn't allow one to hold on desperately to things. You see this? It doesn't allow one to feel that need of holding on to something. This isn't the energy that's trying to chase after someone and say, hey, you're supposed to be my manifestation goal. Where are you going? Come back here. There's a lot of that energy here that is adopting and recognizing and taking those new approaches. Feeling that sense of comfortability and easement is the watchword. That sense or that space of saying to another, you make things easy, is the articulation of love, because it's a sense of saying we move in the same wavelength. We do things in the same way. It doesn't feel like it's energetically forced because it feels like it's just right. And so for a lot of the energy right now in separation, building into that comfortability zone, I want to say, this is some like cool energy in separation right now. It's a Scorpio vibe here. I got to tell you, like the energy right now, in separation, I just kind of see like it's allowing for that like point of easement, moving. I want to say like moving at that steady pace. But I see even now that recognition point for a lot of the energy, feeling the sense of someone that is adaptable in that way, that isn't kind of looking for someone to keep up with them, but looking for someone that they can keep tempo with. There's a lot of this energy right now that's in separation that is building into new energetic connections that feel like they're built upon and based upon that sense of easement. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, it's not that this was easy. Quite the opposite. It's not that this was easy, but what's nice when you do something that's hard and then you do it again and again and again, something starts to get easy. There's a lot of this energy right now coming into divine union that's built upon and based upon acquired taste. And what do we talk about when we talk about acquired taste? It's something I can just see a lot of this energy that was working through, having these breakthrough points, coming into divine union, looking at something and being like, well, I got out of my own way, right? What happens when we get out of our own way? I got out of my own way, seeing one's own patterns, building into that sense of conscientiousness and being able to make those changes. So we see a lot of that energy here coming into divine union, having those breakthrough points. And feeling the comfortability in doing so is via the observation of looking at the past version of self and seeing one's own patterns. And in that moment of seeing, it allows one to be able to do something in a different way. Masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now. Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I'm just observing that a lot of this right now, this is going with the flow. This is almost giving me, I don't know, I want to know where Pisces is right now. I really want to know where Pisces is, because this for me, for the energy within divine union, this is the energy that's just going with the flow of things. And when you go with the flow of things, you don't try. And I got to point this out. A few weeks ago, it was quite the opposite. When we were going through all of that Pisces moon cycle, everything was about going against the current. Here, we just see a lot of that energy just rolling, like rolling with the punches, going with the flow, because that's the energy that is working on adaptability, right? When we're able to navigate through in that way, we become more adaptable. So we see, I just keep getting a lot of message deep within divine union, adaptability, 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 making it energetically work. Next two cards in our 5-card spread before we move into clarification on these cards today. I love these cards so far. We've got our Knight of Cups in its upright, and then we've got our 6 of Cups in its reversal. I'm not surprised to see the 6 of Cups in its reversal, because again, everything is about some kind of energetic change that is being triggered to a certain extent. The important thing that we're recognizing, this isn't energy that is being triggered. I got to stress this. Even in relationality to energetic connections that feel like they're less than in a healed space. I recognize that the fact is that for a lot of that energy, taking a different approach, right? Having that, not matching someone else's energy, but almost maintaining the stability and consistency of one's own. We see even now that a lot of that energy, and it's going to come back, to a lot of that conversation that we had that occurred during the eclipse cycle. I know I keep reiterating about this eclipse cycle that we just had, but it was really important. Why was it important? Because a lot of those lessons that we saw occurring within that eclipse cycle were built upon and based upon the sensor space of not taking something energetically personally. When you're able to internalize something, you're then able to bring it forth outside the self. So we see even now, for a lot of that energy, navigating something in such a way of not letting oneself be affected by the energetic, not navigating necessarily what someone says, but why they would say something, you know? I almost see like a lot of that energy in that fashion, continuing to take a lot of this approach and allowing those moments of dysregulation to become educational moments. And I see even here, one of the only things that I would be very mindful of, and this is what I'm going to bring forth for some of the energy coming into divine union right now, is taking approaches that you feel that the counterpart would be in alignment with, because I just keep seeing the same thing occurring here, which is a lot of that energy holding space for one another in such a way and saying, I appreciate the fact that you're navigating something in some way. This is how I would address it. Like a lot of that energy holding space for one another and emotionally, I told you, navigating and carrying that emotional sensitivity for the counterpart. We're seeing this very heavily that's occurring right now deep within divine union, because we see even now a lot of that energy moving so quickly that the energy doesn't have like the ability to like take something personally. So where is that energy? But it's not being lost. I feel like the counterpart saying, well, you might not take something energetically personally. I'm going to hold it for you. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing coming into divine union right now, this is just built upon and based upon the breakthrough point. And a lot of this breakthrough, I got to stress this, the only thing that's difficult for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now is if you're learning things within connection, it's changing one's own perception on the past. That's that revisitation that we frequently see, because it's in that modality of recognizing and learning something about the self that one is able to look back. We had a lot of Three of Wands energy in our last reading. That ability of having perspective is not something that's simply just happening in the present. It's also happening in recognition of the past. This is why we see even now it may be having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For masculine, this is a lot of the masculine energy working on the ability, I keep seeing opened up throat chakras, being able to express the emotionality in better ways. And in the moment the masculine energy is able to express the emotionality, I told you, this has been like gross. This has been a lot of the masculine being like, this is gross. Because a lot of the masculine energy taking something that feels like an internal process and having to bring it out, it feels like, you know, like I see a lot of the energy being like, it feels like guts. Like it feels like spilling the guts, if you will. Because like the spilling of the guts is the masculine learning to be able to communicate emotionality. Right? But for a lot of the masculine energy, it feels like a horror movie because you're like, I'm spilling my guts. But it's like, it's cathartic. It's allowing for that space of a bridge to be built. And it's in the moment that the masculine is able to do that, that it's a recognition of how not being able to do that. I just keep getting the same message for masculine, which is if you don't express it, it doesn't exist. If you don't express it, it doesn't exist. And so for a lot of the masculine energy, that recognition point, I can see that it's difficult. But that's a lot of I want to say that's a lot of the masculine energy right now, reckoning with past experiences wherein they did not receive that, or navigating situations in the past where they did not provide that. While for feminine energy, I see that this is a lot, I just see a lot of energy right now of feminine coming into divine union. That like once that occurs, everything changes from there. Because a lot of this energy of the feminine coming into divine union is, and we've been taught, I know I sound like a broken record here, but we have to bring it up. The difference in the feminine recognizing a masculine that says, wait for me, versus a masculine energy that says, be patient with me. And if feminine is working with a masculine that says, be patient with me, then anything in the past that made the feminine feel like the masculine was saying, wait for me, immediately reaches a limitation point, because that's the difference of the feminine seeing and working through that process of transformation with a masculine counterpart that reframes the context of anything that came before it. Now, for a lot of this energy and separation right now, I just keep seeing that there's something about timing that's happening right now that is allowing for the closing out of previous cycles. And a lot of it has to do with, and we spoke about this, the difference between someone that demands trust versus someone that recognizes that trust is to be earned. So for a lot of that energy in separation right now, that sense of mutually building trust together and finding the tempo, finding the speed, working on that sense together. I see that a lot of that energy is building closure around anything wherein someone was articulating to someone that they were being too impatient, i.e. saying, I'm not ready to move forward with you yet. And I'm going to call your impatience because it allows me something to say to create a blockage point. Or a lot of that energy that is building into that space of feeling the openness and being able to express their emotionality without volatility. I see that there's a massive amount of healing that's happening right now in separation, and it's allowing for the closing out of a lot of previous cycles. Continuing to get clarification between our 8 of Swords in its reversal and our 7 of Cups in its upright. This is like a little bit of regression energy here, but I have to say this, not all regression energy is bad. I need to point that out. Because I'm seeing even here, this is a looking back on something and having a lot of clarity. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our 10 of Wands in its upright. A lot of closure is what I'm seeing here. But again, this is positive closure. This is closure that is being built upon and based upon recognizing how far one has energetically come. And I see even now that for a lot of the energy in separation, articulating upon an experience, being able to speak on something that used to be difficult and not feeling that it is as difficult, or finding that the way that you are speaking towards it has changed. I see that for a lot of that energy, that ability to express upon something in such a way that it doesn't, I told you, like a little bit of that antidote energy, something that doesn't hurt anymore to look upon or experience. I see even now like a lot of that energy, feeling that sense of having a breakthrough and making closure in the process, because this is the energy that I already recognizes that closure was a quiet door, right? Sometimes closure occurs in the space intervening, and it's in the moment that we express something and we feel the easement by which we express it that we recognize how far we've come. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this doesn't feel easy. This feels like the opposite. This feels like it's been heavy lifting. You've been doing a lot of work, and you've been moving very conscientiously in this direction. And so we see even now that a lot of that conscientiousness, a lot of that directionality, it's heavy, it's burdensome, but it's effective. So we see even now like a lot of that work is paying off. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, this is going with the flow. This is being patient. This is trusting the process. And for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, it's learning to trust the process that feels energetically difficult. I see even now, like for a lot of the energy, wanting to take a lot of the tactic that the energy coming into divine union is doing, moving with a lot of intentionality. Like that would be something that would be preferential for the energy within divine union. So for the fact that the energy deep within divine union is having to go with the flow and feeling the sense of strength as they do so, not losing their feeling of not letting themselves be overwhelmed, right? Big lesson that's coming through for the energy deep within divine union. Going with the flow, but not being overwhelmed by the current. Continuing to get clarification between our 7 of Cups in its upright and our 9 of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. This card, my friends, I want you to go back. Look at our readings over the last week. Ever since we hit Scorpio season, this bad boy just keeps popping out of the deck like Cracker Jacks. It's like the death card knows. It goes, it's my time to shine. It's my time to shine. I'm not going to stay out. I'm going to come out. You can't keep this card down. But again, we welcome this card. We welcome this card because this is the energy of navigating transformation, working through those difficult processes. And I will point out, what did we just say was a lot of that lesson that we were recognizing that was occurring right now for the energy deep within divine union. Going with the flow, but not getting lost with the current, right? Going with the flow, right? Look at these cards, going with the flow, but not getting lost in the current, right? That shows, right? That shows intentionality, right? And so I see even now, there's a lot of that energy that's going with the flow on things, but then holding on to things. Like just taking those little notes, making those little, like, I want to say, like coming into those spaces of correction, right? So I see even now a lot of that work deep within divine union, almost saying we're going to put that on the shelf for now. We're going to address that later, like having those moments, because this is the energy that's moving so rapidly that they're not stopping, but they're making notes on things that they're going to energetically address when they can. So we see even now a lot of that motion, but having to do that work. Even here, we recognize that this is the energy deep within divine union that identifies the changes within the self, specifically and particularly because they're not feeling overwhelmed in that process. Energy coming into divine union right now, same message to a certain extent, except the difference here is a lot of that energy moved out of their comfort zone and is now recognizing what the hurdle was. Sometimes the only way that we can see something is if we do something in a different way, because it changes our perception. And for a lot of the energy right now doing that work, I see a lot of this energy going, I doubted that process. I didn't think it was going to work. I can see a lot of that energy going, I had my uncertainties. I had my own like conscientiousness. I pushed out of my comfort zone and I found a paradise on the other side of it. Right? Sometimes it takes a little bit of that work to be able to recognize and see. And the difficulty, I want to say, for a lot of the energy coming in divine union in this way is don't hold yourself overly accountable if you couldn't see something before. Because even now, I see that a lot of that energy understands that we have our breakthroughs exactly when we need to have our breakthroughs. You are never late. You're not going to be late for your own breakthrough. Okay? So again, I feel like a lot of that energy navigating that and saying, I'm always on time. I'm trusting the energetic process, even in doing something that is uncomfortable. There's a lot of that energy that feels that relief and that release. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid. And that's the provocation that feels like ripping off a Band-Aid, right? Because that's that moment that, it allows for that space of being able to do something in a different way. A lot of this energy right now in separation, I just keep seeing the message of being able to speak about something and it not hurting. Being able to talk about something and not feeling, and I have to stress this isn't energy that's disassociating. This is energy that's processed something enough that they know that they're moving in the right direction. So when you know that you're moving in the right direction and you talk about something difficult, you say, yeah, that was hard. I hoped for a different outcome. I understand why there couldn't be, because I'm feeling the comfortability in the present, right? So a lot of energy right now, I want to say in separation, that's starting to move into that space of being able to talk about something in the past with a sense of nostalgia. And nostalgia is that space where we're able to keep our heart open to something and we're allowing the bitterness to move away from it, right? Something that may have hurt, we can now look at with like a sense of like calmness or with a sense of understanding. So we see even now, like I want to say, I get this like message of like a lot of the pages in some books that used to be like, we don't open that page. Someone being like, no, it's fine. Like, it's like the pages are becoming unstuck to a certain extent and someone feeling the easement and being able to speak towards something, but in a way that feels like healthy and positive and productive, that's showing the advancement of someone's of energy within the healing journey. Because this isn't energy within the coming into in separation trying to force a connection. This is energy that's feeling the easement and potentially finding energetic connections, but that are doing the same work. Continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Pentacles in its upright in combination with our Knight of Cups in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Devil card. I'm not surprised to see these cards right now. We're moving through a lot of this energetic cycle, and we spoke, right? We had a lot of conversation based upon that feeling of energetic provocation, working through those energetic hurdles, feeling those frustrations. There's a lot of the energy right now, I want to say, in separation, that are speaking towards their past in such a way that they're identifying and articulating the fact that they don't feel like they're energetically perfect. Right? Look at this. Look at this energy. This is energy that is building bridges between one another by speaking upon those areas or those moments wherein they don't feel like they're energetically perfect. Because these are not connections that require one to be perfect. They require one to be mindful of knowing oneself. And so we see even now that for a lot of that energy, facilitating and doing that work and being able to bring that level of authenticity to one another. This is not the energy that is in separation that's trying to put a false sense of self towards the energetic counterpart. Because I see even now like a lot of that energy saying, I don't want to show you something that isn't true, because how are we going to identify if there's an authentic connection there if we're building upon a space of falsehood? So I told you even now, a lot of these energetic connections that are building in separation is like, I see a lot of the energy being like, you want to hear the worst part? You want to know the worst thing about me? Like a lot of that energy is kind of like letting it all hang out to a certain extent. But I need to stress this. This isn't the energy that's saying like letting it all hang out and being like, I'm not in the journey of wanting to become my best version of self. There's a lot of that energy saying like, I want to show you I want you to see my darkest parts so we can identify if you can love me there, right? Like that's a lot. And I keep seeing a lot of this energy being like, okay, this is the bad thing, right? This is the bad part. And this is the energy going, I just hear positive. I feel like you just told me something that you thought was like real, like a deal breaker, and the energy saying that's not a deal breaker. It sounds ideal. It doesn't sound like a deal breaker. It sounds ideal, right? Like that's what's happening right now for a lot of this energy in separation. And the energy coming into divine union right now. I'm just recognizing and identifying that for a lot of this energy coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that looked back on the past and they thought they were at a breaking point, right? I got to stress this. A few weeks ago, especially during that eclipse season, a lot of this energy was not sure whether they would be able to move through, having recognized what may have felt like a real obstacle in their energetic connection. What is this energy doing? They're having breakthroughs in the process because they're not avoiding those things. They're not saying we're just not going to address it. We're going to pretend it wasn't there. This is the energy that's confronting. Look at this. This is energy that's saying we're going to take those hardest parts and we're not going to turn away from them. We're not going to say just deal with it. We're going to plant a garden there. We're going to build into that space. We're going to become, look at this, feminine. Becoming comfortable and building into a space of creating that emotionality and being able to articulate to masculine, right? Not expressing from the emotional need, but articulating through it. Masculine, feeling like I told you, this is masculine being like, this is a horror show. Why does it feel like a horror show for masculine? Because masculine's got to spill their guts. Masculine's like, this is gross. I see a lot of this energy of masculine being like, this is gross. This is gross. This is some garbage pail kid stuff you're making me do here. I'm going to have to sit here and talk to you about my feelings. Ugh. I see a lot of the masculine going, ugh. But that's a masculine that does it and then says, oh wait, it's making something easier. It's getting easier. Why? And this is a lot of masculine going, why do I feel like speaking about my emotions is gross? Where did I learn that speaking about my emotions is gross? I see a lot of the masculine like, there it goes. Like a lot of, there it goes. There it goes. Like a lot of that energy. Well, for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The energy within divine union is not going, I see a lot of the energy holding grossness for the counterpart. Navigating something, I told you, a lot of this energy navigating something and just having to deal with something. And this is a lot of that energy navigating in such a way of being like, I'm holding this for you. I'm going to carry this space for you. I'm going to allow this to be a space of you being able to navigate through, because a lot of that energy right now is dealing with, I want to say, situations that feel frustrating. They feel confounding. But this is a lot of the energy that, like, again, that sense or that space of not having time for anything that feels like it's creating an energetic distraction. I just see a lot of this energy just being like, I don't have time for that. And the counterpart being like, but I do. Like a lot of the counterpart going, but I do. So this is literally, I want to say there's something about the energy deep within divine union that's going, I love your tea, give it to me. I love your tea, give it to me. Because somebody's saying, I don't have time for the tea, right? This is what's happening in the counterpart connection. I don't have the time for the tea. And the other counterpart goes, I love your tea, give it to me. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Cups in combination with our Six of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Do I want to know? Yes. Okay. We've got here our Page of Swords in its upright. So this is a reamplification. This is a reamplification of just what I just said. It just validates what I was just saying. What do we see here? I'll show you right now. Look, I'm going to read it out. This is the first counterpart going, I don't have time for this tea. And this is the other counterpart going, I love your tea, give it to me. He's like, so this is a lot of that transformation. I told you, the energy of the counterpart holding the tea for the counterpart that's not in a space that they can accommodate their own tea. Masculine and feminine energy. This is so Scorpio, by the way. I just need to point that out. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This is the approach. This is the wow. This is a wow. Because this is the energy right now. Wow. That's having breakthroughs in the energetic connection. And now what's happening? The cup runneth over and spilleth over into the connections outside of the connection. This is now the energy that's having breakthroughs within their own energetic connection, such that it's not only impacting the way that they're navigating the connection themselves, it is changing their energetic approach on how they're potentially seeing things outside of the energetic connection. Healing from past trauma, seeing something in a different way. Potentially navigating circumstances around things outside of the connection itself, taking those same approaches that they're learning, those same tools, bringing them forward to ease those that may need it. So even here, that's the work that becomes service, because this is the energy that heals the connection. You heal the self and you heal everyone else around you in the process. You don't hold that in. You can't keep that inside. This is the energy that's saying, I just, me and my partner just tried something. I think I can use this here, right? While for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is, look at this. This is closure. This is energy that's building closure by building and being able to speak upon difficult things. And then what's beautiful about this is a lot of energy moving forward, not holding resentment. But I want to say, I see it even here. This is the same message. This is a good sign. The same message for the energy deep within divine union, which is, again, I see a lot of this energy being that person did not think I was their cup of tea because I was a specialty, right? Like, this is a lot of the energy talking about something. I told you, talking about what may have felt like it was the separation event in the past partnership, the thing that felt like it was a no, like, do not, like, a limitation, speaking about that hard thing. What is the energy saying here? Sounds to me like that person just wasn't ready, right? Wasn't ready for you, right? Look at this. This is the energy going, sounds to me like this is a lot of the energy. If this was feminine saying, yeah, I wanted to build forth with masculine, they said I was impatient. This is maybe a lot of new masculine energy coming towards feminine going, sounds to me like a masculine that wasn't ready, right? That's a reframing of the perspective. If this is masculine saying, speaking to feminine and saying, it felt like everything, like I didn't know what they wanted, or it felt like everything I did, like they continually changed. I couldn't stay like in balance with them. This is a lot of the feminine saying, seems like, you know, like your emotional needs weren't being, like you had to, if you had to put your emotional needs aside to navigate another's, that's not a place of balance. So we see even now a lot of this energy that is amplifying their healing via the new energetic connections, and it's giving them a perspective on the clarity in terms of where they've come, because even here we see a lot of that energy speaking towards and saying, you know, that validation or that sense of alignment, it's not forced. It feels very easy here. And there's a lot of that energy potentially moving into connection and saying something that feels so easy in the new energetic connection felt like it was an impossibility in the past one. And it's in that moment that we're able to build closure, because that's the understanding. Continuing to get clarification, speaking again towards 10, look at this, 10 of Wands, the understanding and closure, recognizing the energetic hurdle, understanding the blockage. One card to clarify, please. Ah! All the cards want to come out. Clarification coming through right now with our Hermit in its reversal. Oh, this is nice. It seems like a lot of this Scorpio energy doesn't want to stay inside. What's this? Scorpio energy is not going to stay inside. Scorpio energy doesn't have time for that. Scorpio energy doesn't have time to feel sorry for themselves. They could be out there doing something. You getting into some new trouble, right? This is a lot of this energy here. I want to say this. We've got with our 10 of Wands, our Death card in its reversal, our Hermit card in its reversal. Boom, 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 boom. Here comes all the Scorpio energy going, it's my time. So it's like it's creating a lot of restlessness right now. It's a lot of this like giddy excitement. Like it's like, you know what it is? It's like that feeling before a thunderstorm. You know that feeling? You're like, nothing's happening, but something's happening. Nothing's happening, but something's it's a lot of that type of energy. It's got that it's a very Scorpio vibe, that electric current, if you will. You know, that stillness that has a lot of like impact to it. So we see even now that for a lot of this energy, I want to say a lot of energy right now in separation. I want to say this, this is the energy that like, I'm going to call all of you out right now are in separation, because I know I was here. I was reading these cards like 2 weeks ago. You were like, I am going into a convent. I am going to become my own self. I am going to stay within my person. I am letting go of my manifestation. What's going on now? What happened? This is not that. This is not that. This is the energy going, I have changed my mind about the convent. This is the energy going, I am a little bit bored now. There's a lot of this energy just moving into that space. But I have to stress this. This is the energy that is feeling comfortable because they express discomfort and it did not create further discomfort, right? What happens when you express discomfort and it doesn't create that moment of rigidity, right? That's a lot of energy right now. I was feeling like in some of these new energetic connections, starting to feel triggered, right? Starting to feel triggered. And then instead of the moment that the trigger occurs, the past reoccurs, that loosening, that easement, and that recognition and feeling the validation of comfortability. I see a lot of this energy that's saying we're not in any rush because we're not going anywhere, but not saying we're not going anywhere like we're not going anywhere, saying we're enjoying this. We're enjoying this energetic unfolding. And in that state of enjoyment, that easement, that feeling of easement creates its own gift, because this is the energy where, again, not a lot's happening, but it may feel like a lot is happening. Coming into divine union, this is the energy that's recognizing their own limitation point. This is the energy going, oh my God. Because a lot of this energy having that breakthrough, it's in the moment that you have a breakthrough that you see how you may have potentially been standing in your own way. I'm going to say it again to the energy coming into divine union. You can't be late to your own breakthrough. It's not like a birthday party someone was throwing you and then you're just late to it. You can't be late to your own breakthrough. You show up to your breakthrough when you need to have your breakthrough. So for a lot of this energy, that recognition point of wrestling with the sense of having a breakthrough, feeling the frustration in wishing that it may have come to you sooner, but then immediately letting it go. This is the energy embracing that process of transformation, because you're not going to feel bad you're not going to feel bad about something that you couldn't see. How can you feel bad about something you couldn't see? All right? Continuing to get clarification for a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now. I'm going to just say it again. A lot of this energy deep within divine union right now. It's more of that energy. I hear a lot of this energy going, but I took that personally. Like a lot of that energy going, I took that personally. Like a lot of the energy going through the process of within divine union, navigating energetic hurdles, seeing someone working tirelessly, recognizing and holding space for one another as you go, right? These are the counterparts that are like, here, oh yeah, that feels like a sticky emotion. Just give it to me. I'll hold on to that, right? And so we see even now a lot of those breakthroughs that are occurring in that process, continuing to get clarification between our death card in its reversal in combination with our devil card in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? These two cards, man, what is this card going to be? I'm like scared to look. Okay, no, this is all right. This is good. We've got here our Two of Pentacles in its reversal. This is really interesting. So I need to stress though, for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, that amplification or the recognition point of this is energy that is making a lot of fast choices, trusting the speed by which they're making those energetic choices. Because a lot of this right now, I'm just recognizing, and this is what I mean about that sense of something that would have frustrated you, creating that space of breakthrough. Because for a lot of this energy right now, that ability of feeling confident in one's own choices, this is the energy that gives each other consolation in recognition, in recognition to navigating and doing the best that one can do, right? If you're navigating forward and you're doing the best that one can do, if you're doing something in such a way, even if it's not energetically perfect, that sense or that space of being mindful and remembering that all of us are doing the best that we can do. Having that ability of being able, and this is, I want to point this out, this is where some of this protectiveness that we were talking about, the amplification of the energetic counterparts, because this is the energy that looks towards something. And if this is energy that says, I'm not going to take it personally, this is the energy goes, I prioritize you. I'm going to take it personally because it looks to me like someone else is not navigating you in the same fashion. So that ability of being energetically protective here, we see even now one of the only conflict areas may have to do with the approach of one of the counterparts via how the other wants to move into it. But even here, we see that a lot of that work is the amplification of holding things for one another to allow for that sense of prioritization. Now, for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is the breakthrough, because it's allowing for the healing of the energetic connection. And what's hard about that, if these were energies that felt like they were keeping parts of themselves apart in order to facilitate that connection, we just see even now that ability of doing so, it required them to face their fears. What happens when we face our fears? What happens when we confront those parts of ourselves that make us run or make us feel that sense of frustration, right? Building into that sense of bravery. This is a lot of the energy that's basically building into energetic connections right now, articulated and amplified by saying, I'm not going to move in the direction that my fear says to go. I'm going to move through that with intentionality. And the intentionality is the energy that moved into this process by saying, we're going to prioritize the energetic connection above all. And when you decide what you're going to prioritize, it makes its own form of bravery. So we see even now there's a lot of that energy feeling the sense of healing the energetic connection and healing themselves in the process. Because they're saying themselves, the way I healed the connection was I started to allow myself to do the thing that I was most afraid to do. If that was masculine saying, expressing the feelings, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, this is a masculine energy that says having that anxiety or outcome of what would occur and then not having that experienced is its own form of validation. Same for feminine. If this was feminine, having that anxiety or that frustration of allowing that volatility to override the ability to be present with masculine, being able to hold space and to articulate upon the emotions instead of react to them. Both of these energies navigating those breakthroughs. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, I just see a lot of new energetic connections that are forming right now. And they're slow. I'm going to say it right now. They're certainly slow. These are slow energetic connections I'm seeing that are forming. It doesn't feel like a roller coaster. It feels very easy. And I can see even now the fact that somebody is experiencing something in separation and going, wow, that was easy. That was easy. It went off without a hitch. And thinking about the devastation of experiencing something in the past and saying that thing that we just went through was like the major hurdle for their like large portion of like, that was like the blockage point, right? When you experience something that was like somebody creates like this massive hurdle and someone else goes like, what hurdle? That's its own form of closure, right? Because then you go, that's it. I see it now. I understand someone that was taking a molehill and turning it into a mountain. Like that ability of recognizing that this is that point of energetic healing to a certain extent. And we just see that for a lot of the energy in that space, those breakthroughs, they're profound and they're difficult, but they're amplifying the understanding and the clarity of moving in the right direction. Continuing to get clarification between our Devil card and its upright in combination with our Page of Swords and its upright. Swords. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Swords in its reversal. Liking this. We've got double nines out today. Again, that's a little bit of that static charge we can expect during Scorpio season. That feeling that anything could happen, but nothing's happening, but anything could happen. I want to say a lot of this energy right now, in separation, I have to point this out. I see a lot of validation. I see a lot of validation that's potentially occurring right now for energy and separation. And it's a recognition of saying, yeah, it hurt like hell. It was frustrating. It was devastating for a while. But that energy, feeling the amplification of saying to themselves, but it doesn't hurt anymore. It's something that I've come into energetic terms with. This is the energy that feels that, specifically because this is the energy that can articulate upon what the difficulty was. And in the ability to identify what the problems are, we free ourselves to move forward. So for a lot of the energy right now, building into that context of closure via the affirmation with new energetic connections, the easement someone is bringing forth to something where something else was only experiencing hurdles and difficulties. This is a lot of the energy that's recognizing the difference between energy that wants to move forward versus energy that kind of wants to keep things in that tug of war space, that sense of difficulty. So we see even now a lot of that energy just reaching that point of closure and allowing that closure to be amplified. While for and I have to say, for a lot of that energy in separation, there may be some I can see even now, and this is going to get back to some of the energy that we saw that's moving into divine union. Someone looking towards someone and saying, you carry that really well, right? That space or that place of being able to articulate something, even in that sense, this is how the energy is recognizing, because this is the energy saying, I'm not holding on to it. I'm not, I want to say, this is the energy that says, I'm not desiring, I can see a lot of this energy speaking towards something in separation and going, because that's a past I don't want to energetically go back to, because I know what the difficulty was, right? So even there, we see a lot of this new energy coming in separation. It feels like it has conviction, right? And the conviction, speaking of that conviction, what happens when we address our problems with conviction? For a lot of the energy coming into divine union, experiencing a hurdle, having a moment of uncertainty with a counterpart, building into that conviction of saying to one another, we're going to energetically get through this because we're going to prioritize. When we prioritize and say we're going to energetically find a way to get through this, it's just not a question of if or how. It's a question of when. And for a lot of that energy, it's happening sooner rather than later, because this is the energy that simply by coming into that point of conviction and being willing to do something in a different way, are they having a lot of those breakthrough points. While for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, this is the only hurdle I'm seeing. This is a little bit of a problem territory that I'm seeing right now for the energy deep within divine union. Because I see a lot of that energy deep within divine union going, I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to let it go. And a lot of them, and the energy within divine union going, the counterpart being I'm not. Right? That's what happens when we carry each other's emotions. We hold on to them in such a way that we get knotted up over the emotional feelings of others. So I can see even now that one of the hurdles that's happening with some of the Scorpio season is feeling the tightness in someone letting something go and another person saying, I'm not, right? And that disparity here is potentially what's occurring deep within divine union, because this is the energy that becomes very protective of counterpart. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Hermit card in its reversal in combination with our Two of Pentacles in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Swords in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union. I'm just recognizing that for a lot of the energy in that space, just, having that sense of supporting one another in such a way that is the amplification or the articulation of energetic choices is what I'm seeing here. And that prioritization point that we're identifying, this is a lot of the energy right now deep within divine union that is almost like they're in a point of when you're moving with a lot of conviction, with a lot of purpose, you don't have time to hold on to things, right? You just don't have time to hold on to them because, again, it feels self-indulgent to hold on to something too rigidly, right? So we see even now, like, a lot of that energy doing so in such a way that adaptability point amplifies the feeling of the energetic connection, because there's a lot of that energy that redefines their prioritization points. Not pushing against something if it feels like it's difficult, but adapting and recognizing. I told you even now, going with the flow as necessary, but becoming firm when required, right? That's a lot of that, like, walk softly and like, it's like move through the current because one chooses to, but also identifying those points wherein you stop and pause because you know that you can, right? So I see even now, like, a lot of that energy utilizing a lot of that conviction in such a way. And it's difficult work. Like, this is, I told you, this is that scorpionic journey of being able to like move through something very quickly, but at the same time, like, if that something feels like it's not, like, and this is more of that description of this energy right now, right? I told you it's a little bit of that anticipation, because, like, everything's fine until it's not, right? Because that's that moment that holds firm. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is the energetic breakthrough that I'm seeing. This is a lot of this energy that's doing something that felt like it was impossible, potentially even a few weeks ago. And now it's getting easier. Because when we set our intentions on something, nothing is impossible. It's just a question of if and how and when. And so we see even now a lot of that energy, feeling that sense, I want to say, of, and whatever these breakthroughs are, I can feel like some of these breakthroughs, like they're hard. I can see it even now, seeing something that's allowing for the integration of partnership in such a way that it's showing parts of the self that one hasn't seen them before. Remember, that is a gift. It is a gift to be able to see something about oneself that you couldn't before, because it means that you're already in a space that you can energetically change it. While for masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is a letting go process. I see even now a lot of that energy moving through this new moon, man, this new moon, accepting, working through that sense. And I want to say that a lot of that recognition point, that identification, if you will, navigating forward in such a way that I want to say the conscientiousness of the new energetic connection, something that feels like it's being created, something that feels like it was a hurdle. Like, I see it even now. Something is being navigated right now in separation with new energetic connections. Something that was a continual hurdle is now like the smoothest thing ever. This is a lot of the energy that's letting go in the process, because it's the amplification and the reminder, if you will, of moving in alignment. You can't force that. Sometimes you just have to find it. Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Nine of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our King of Wands in its upright. Now, masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now. This is having a different impact. Now, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For masculine energy right now, this is feeling, there's a lot of this like work I'm seeing here that feels, and I keep getting like the cleared throat chakra to a certain extent. That ability of working through something in such a way that allows for that ability to plan. I just see that a lot of the masculine energies in that modality right now, where deep within divine union, like the one hurdle that I'm seeing more than anything has to do in more of that overprotectedness that we were seeing, that we were articulating. Like a lot of the masculine energy right now is in that sense of really working through that sense of being protective, being very energetically protective, in such a way, particularly as it relates to their own emotions and the energy of like the energy within the divine, like within like the energetic circle of the masculine. So I see even now like a lot of that energy facilitating forward in that way. This is what I meant about there being a little bit of a conflict point between masculine and feminine right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because a lot of this masculine energy right now is articulating from a place of firmness. Feminine is being much more adaptable right now. Feminine is being much more, like I want to say, recognizing hurdles in order to facilitate productive spaces around. So we see even now that a lot of that adaptability to a certain extent, we see that the counterparts, this could address, and I told you, it's not like everything's always perfect within divine union. Having different opinions in relationality to navigating difficulties or hurdles, potentially within the connection itself or in relationality to energy surrounding the connection that might not necessarily be in an ideal space. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the different work that we see that these energies are navigating, that is creating a breakthrough. Everything I keep seeing right now with masculine is just that freed up throat chakra, being able to take something, feeling like this is so gross to be able to articulate it, but then finding the confidence in doing so that allows for that energetic breakthrough with the feminine. Feminine being in a space of holding space for the masculine, recognizing how much it takes for the masculine to express in that way. Having that ability of being energetically adaptable to what the masculine's bringing forth and how they're receiving it. We see even there that this is allowing for a lot of these relationships to be healed, because this is the energy that is observing and appreciating the work that's being facilitated there, not taking things too personally. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, this is just saying to me, there's a lot of this identification and recognition in some of the connections that are forming right now in separation that are amplifying and helping one see what those limitations and hurdles were in the past energetic experience. And something about that even now, it is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy. For masculine, I see a lot of this work that's happening here. This is a lot of openness. I gotta say, this is a massive amount of openness for masculine in separation right now. Just being in that space. But I have to say that what's beautiful about this is a lot of the energy of the masculine in separation, feeling the confidence. I want to just show you these cards right now, because we got King of Wands, Page of Swords, Knight of Cups. So this is like all the energy of the masculine in alignment, right? Because we've got here, this is the masculine energy with the plan, the emotions that reinforce it, and the vitality to move forward on something. So we see even now, it's like boom, 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 like all of these energies here. There's a lot of this masculine that's feeling that vitality right now within an energetic connection. And what's nice about this is I see like a lot of this energy being in a space of openness and expressiveness, particularly and especially because like a lot of the masculines basically saying, if something about the way I approach things moves feminine further away from me, then that's just amplification that we're not in alignment, right? That's not the masculine taking it personally. That's a masculine healing in the process. While for a lot of this feminine energy right now in separation, I just see a lot of the feminine energy, really, I want to say, taking things slowly. I see a lot of this slowness here, and I see a lot of the energy here of the feminine potentially articulating to masculine and amplifying and saying to the masculine, it's not that I'm putting this on you, but I'm based and built upon those past experiences wherein, again, I've learned some energetic lessons. I'm being conscientious with whom I'm building with. So what do we see that is happening here within these spaces? These are energies that are finding themselves because they're not holding on to things tightly, because they feel the comfortability and confidence of who they are and what they want, and they're giving each other the gift of easement as they move towards one another. Final card for today's spread, between our Ace of Swords in its reversal and our King of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our Strength card. I love this. Absolutely love this. I'm okay with this Scorpio season, man. This is okay. I'm good with this. Because here's the thing. I feel like a lot of that energetic anticipation energy would typically, have everyone like, meh. But instead, I just feel like there's something about this where a lot of the energy right now is facing things and letting their courage speak for them or not speak, right? I just see a lot of that energetic bravery that's effectively occurring here. Now, for masculine and feminine energy in separation, there's something I'm seeing that's happening now that is feeling the energetic strength of one's own choices. And I need to stress this because I told you a lot of this energy in separation, almost coming towards each other and being like, you want to hear the worst part? You want to hear the thing? Like, you want to hear like a lot of that energy being like, yeah, and and this is what I did, and this is what I did. And like a lot of this being like in that space, questioning oneself, right? Potentially even articulating to another. And I see a lot of that energy coming towards one another in that space and saying like, wow, it sounds to me like a lot of this energy being like, like I almost see, I told you, a lot of this energy coming towards someone and being able to navigate with something with some levity or some saying like, look how foolish I was, like I didn't see something, I let my emotions guide me. And what's happening in that context, I see a lot of this energy saying to a certain extent, sounds to me like you navigated something with a lot of strength. Sounds to me like you navigated something with a lot of strength. Sounds to me like the story of someone who's really strong, right? So a lot of these energetic connections right now, building forth in a space of slowness, right? Positivity, recognizing and identifying what that looks like, feeling that energetic support, a lot of breakthrough. Healing comes in many different forms. Closure comes in many different forms. And for a lot of this energy right now, the validation of being able to articulate the hurdles of the past and someone amplifying and saying, it sounds to me like you did the best that one could do, or giving you that appreciation for the strength through which you navigated it. That's because it is in the expressing of what we find strong, we find alignment in. Because when you're not in alignment, someone will see your strength as an energetic weakness, right? So when we're not in alignment and someone does not see our strength as as a gift, right? When we're not in alignment, someone can see us in a point of strength and say, wow, you're being stubborn. Wow, you're being arrogant, right? Like that's the energy that says, wow, I want to fracture you. I want to fracture you out of that. I want to fracture you out of being your true sense of self. So for a lot of the energy coming into those contexts and looking towards someone saying, wow, sounds to me like you are too strong for someone. Sounds to me like someone did not like to see you at a point of energetic strength. There's a profound amount of healing that we're recognizing that's happening right now in some of these energetic connections forming. And it's reframing what one person may have articulated as a vulnerability, and another person amplifying and saying, sounds to me like someone that did not want to see you strong. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, a lot of this energy doing something that they did not feel strong about. A lot of energy doing something that they felt completely useless at or very weak and vulnerable doing. But what happens when we do something that we're not used to doing and we challenge ourselves? We inevitably get stronger. It's not if, it's just when. And so for a lot of the energy right now, I'm seeing that sense of doing something that was hard but getting better at it is the amplification and the encouragement to keep going. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, a lot of this energy deep within divine union, I'm just seeing this is the energy that is, I just keep seeing it. This is a lot of this energy. I just need to stress right now. And I was about to say bad ideas as I'm watching Strega just destroy my roll of toilet paper. It's fine. That space of almost like moving through and something and being like, I am going to do the peaceful thing. And another person being like, or you could do this. Like, the only thing I'm seeing right now that's happening within divine union is working into that space. But this is how the energy is like giving each other encouragement, because this is the energy going, I am going to do what's right. But the energy within the connection is going, but you would have a right to, like a lot of that energy, like moving forward in that fashion is how they're holding space for each other, because this is the energy that's feeling that conviction or that frustration, but then like allowing it to come into that space of easement, like allowing it to come into that space of like holding love for one another by almost like moving the spiciness through each other as the vector. Final card, bottom of the deck for today's reading is, of course. So, the thing that, let's talk a little bit. The Scorpios here, what's up with you and holding on to the past? What's up with that? Let's talk a little about it. Because you have to remember, I need to point out something that's really important about the Scorpion is it's got that spiral. It's got like the tail, right? It's got that journey within it, the shape of it. So even here we see that a lot of the journey of Scorpio is the observation point in seeing and recognizing the spaces and places in one's own energetic journey, changing in profound ways, depending on where you are in the concept of time. So this is what we talk about, why we always talk about, like, why do Scorpios always hold on to things? Because Scorpios recognize that they don't want to let go of something, because they understand that in the pathwork of time, their perception on something will invariably change. So that's why we have a lot of that energy of the Scorpio that has a tendency of never letting anything go. They don't let anything go because that journey itself is precious to them. And so they don't want to let it go because it's in that ability of self-analysis of the past that they're able to recognize and build into that sense of perpetual self-understanding, which is a continual revisitation into their own pathwork for the sake of reorientation. So we see even now that for a lot of that work, that ability of the energy of nostalgia to reign heavily during these periods of time, it's very common that we have a lot of, like, it can sometimes feel, sometimes the Scorpio periods can sometimes feel like retrogrades because of all of that energetic revisitation, something coming back. So we see even now like a lot of that energetic revisitations potentially happening here. don't make that make you feel like it's because you're headed in the wrong direction. Revisitation comes back to help you understand where you are in orientation to where you are now. So that sense of understanding and recognizing, let that be something that validates your journey forward. Let it be something that informs upon, because sometimes that pull of the past can feel very energetically overwhelming. So when it comes towards you, just let it, now like let it be let it be informative. Let it build into that sense of recognition. Now, for the energy in separation right now, there's a lot of that quandary that often occurs. I can see even now the anxiety of where one is finding the present energetic connections. I told you even now, a lot of this energy is sick and tired of energy that gets lost in the past, energy that doesn't consider closure, but almost feels that sense of perpetually waiting. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, it's forcing the energy to move slower for the sake of fearing or feeling that anxiety point of someone that's going to double back on their own journey, right? While for masculine, and so that's why the energy here is utilizing discretion, because this is the energy that is looking towards energetic connections and saying, you're not waiting for anybody, are you? You're actually trying to move forward. This is a lot of that energy that doesn't want to be hurt in that fashion. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of this work that we're seeing right now is built upon or based upon that recognition of seeing one's own limitations. And I'm going to say it again. If you are discovering something that you could not see about yourself that was hindering connection, congratulations. You're literally in the midst of a breakthrough. And I know it probably feels awful, but that's part and parcel for a breakthrough sometimes. So that recognition point that the thing that may have created the limitation will now become the energetic antidote. That is a lot of that journey of recognizing that when we see something that we couldn't see before, we are then able to heal it. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, I see a lot of this energy that's moving so swiftly, and the energy going, I don't have time for that. And the energetic counterparts being like, I do. But a lot of that work, or almost taking those notes, a lot of that energy moving so swiftly right now, coming into that space of addressing things and saying, I'll take care of that when we can. All of that having to do with prioritization. So a lot of this energy right now moving into that space of prioritization in the recognition of doing so, that allows for that state or that space that creates that momentary identification wherein this is the energy that is building into that space of being able to move forward and not getting too caught up in holding on to what they're working on letting go of, right? So we see a lot of this work right now is difficult because the energy is moving so swiftly. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into our personal readings for the day. Our next tarot class will be held on Wednesday, November 13th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Lover's card. If you would like to become a part of our tarot class program, all you need to do is head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack will grant you access and entry into each month's live classes. You will also have access to the full repository of previous classes and course materials. So if you're just joining us, you've got about 7 hours of material for your perusal whenever you're ready to experience it. It's not necessary to catch up. I'll be giving a recap in every class. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and all the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've learned thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best updates or insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So thank you if you're already joining us there, and I look forward to seeing you at our next class. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, make sure that you head over to our subscriber-only Discord channel. There is a special coupon code there that will give you an additional discount on that Substack subscription. Even if you don't become a founding member to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings and services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my online event schedule as well as my in-person events. You'll also get updated on giveaway information. Speaking of giveaways, we have wrapped up the October giveaway. I will be announcing the winner tomorrow over on my Substack. We are in the process of having our November giveaway. If you would like to win a private tarot reading with me, simply head over to the link tree in my bio. There is a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway. But if you would like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner for the survey, not only will I be giving a reading to the person that wins, but I will also give one to the person that referred them. So thank you so much if you've already entered, and I wish you the best of luck of winning this month. Finally, I want to let you know that on top of my standard tarot readings and my life path readings, I offer mentorship classes. These are focused for my clients that are seeking more personalized educational experiences with me. I take a very limited number of students for that reason. These classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series that is 4 45-minute classes, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me this evening and sharing in these messages. And we will do this again